Hello my lovelies, Mike the Reluctant Gardener here with a long overdue update on what we're doing in the vegetable garden this year. I've got plans to expand a bit more, but it's been a slow start because I was out in the Caribbean sailing when I should have been planting and tilling and whatnot, but we're catching up slowly, trying to get there. I'm hoping I'm not going to get showered on behind me there with the sprinkler going. So let's take a look. Couple of things you should notice immediately. First off is we've gone back to the east-west facing rows because the north-south wasn't that good of an experiment last year. Second thing you should notice is we've upgraded to 8-foot poles for the peas and 10-foot poles for the beans. And my God, what has happened to my rhubarb this year? All of that cow shit that I tilled in seems to have made one hell of a difference. So we've got 3 varieties of onion growing here. Bought these as plants grown from seed this year, so they looked a little bit like a spring onion, a scallion, whatever you want to call it, when I planted them. And this was a tip that I got from a fella last year who grows prize-winning onions. He said, that's the way you want to get them, go see that fella there. And I turned up at the greenhouse and the guy was like, I've been expecting you. So we'll see what happens. Bit of garlic planted last year, seems to be doing alright so far. Blueberries, I don't know if it's a bit like raspberries where they don't have blossoms and whatnot for a year or two, because we've got a lot of low growth but no high growth on the berries this year. Black raspberries, same as ever, going a bit crazy. Should be a good selection there. Now it gets a bit interesting along here. I showed you the Jang JP1 seeder that I was using to plant stuff. This area here I planted 250 count of sugar beet, and I definitely don't count 250 come through. Whether that's the fault of the seeder or the seed itself, I can't tell you yet. We're going to give it a bit more time. The okra seems to have come through okay. What I have noticed is that the seed may have been planted a bit shallow or whatnot, but same with everything. This is the edamame right here. These are the peas. Everything that I've planted with the seeder, it has been a little bit erratic. It's not giving the true spacing that it claims to. I expect that's probably operator error. Got to get a bit more practice and adjust the foot that covers stuff up so that they're buried at the right depth. What I had a bit of a problem with was a lot of seed sitting on the surface after the first little rain shower. Potatoes, this is what we had left over from last year's crop. We've got a mixture of russets and reds and purples and some diddy little things. And they seem to be doing champion. I have to treat them pretty soon, otherwise the potato beetles are going to wreck them like they did last year. Along here we've got kale and some other stuff. I should have paid more attention to what I planted where, because I can't bloody remember at the moment, so we'll see what happens. Sweet potatoes, I bought some slips. They arrived a bit too soon. I wasn't ready for them. I had to keep them indoors for a week. Next year I'm going to ask for them to come a little bit later. That was through Johnny's Seeds. And there's been, I don't know, I want to say there's been about a 40 or 50% mortality rate so far. It looks like I've had a lot die straight off. Whether that's because I weakened them keeping them indoors or I've done something wrong growing them, I don't know, but that's where we're at. Another load of peas. One of the big problems I've got right at the moment, and it really stinks around here, because if you look, we've had a little visitor coming along and munching on everything. That's nowhere near as bad as the state of the beans. Look at this, it's just topped them all. I don't know if it's a muskrat or a groundhog or whatnot, but this white stuff here is ground up eggshell that is in the repellent that I made probably 3 summers ago now. It's been sitting in a bottle fermenting, maturing, and my God, it smells awful. I can't express how bad this stuff smells, and I just touching the outside of the bottle, I cannot get the smell off my hands. I've washed them I don't know how many times since. Again, pointing the finger at the Jang cedar and my use of it. This was supposed to have been planted at 5 or 6 inches, I can't remember, and it's definitely not come through that way. This is my corn. As you can see, we've got skips and then clusters and skips and clusters. It's obviously something I'm doing with the setup. I've also got the Hostools cedar, which is supposed to be better than the Jang for the larger seeds, so maybe I will give that a shot next year instead. And here we've got a few rogue potatoes that obviously got missed last year. The beans only went in 5 days ago, 4 days ago, so not expecting too much from them just yet. Putting strings up because the plan again is to plant tomatoes in between to sort of fight the pests for both of them and encourage each other to grow. Now back here, this is my compost pile, and most of what you can see here I think is spaghetti squash. There are a couple of tomato plants going rogue. Hey, here's a sunflower growing out of it. I'm just going to let it sit here and do its own thing. I'm hoping this will help it to compost down further, having all of these roots tangling through it and drawing from it. And what do you know, something's been munching on that as well. My finger is starting to point towards deer, so it might be time to put the pie plates back out. I've counted up. I have currently got 810 feet of hose, because if you see, I've got it running all the way around to the top field. Let's go over there now. While we're on the way up there, dog rose, multiflora rose as I guess it's called around here. It smells absolutely beautiful. It is invasive as hell. Look at it, it's trying to grow its way all the way along this row here. This thing's just expanding. This got whacked back last year and it's bouncing right back. And we've got one all the way across the pond that is going mental as well. I need to rip that out because that's where we usually get on the ice. But anyway, let's carry on up towards the top field. So as I showed you previously, I had Ryan expand this area for me a bit this year. We've got the wheat up this end. Then we got a thin strip of flax, and then we got the barley, and then there's a bit of bare soil down the bottom where I still got to put my oats in. And that little tripod over there is my new sprinkler that I bought, because one of the problems up this end last year was how dry it got, and everything got pretty stunted as a result. There are a few surprises in here, namely right here. We have a few sunflowers growing through. If you remember, I planted those at the top edge of last year's field. So this is the old boundary right here at the edge of the barley. And then the flax and the wheat are getting grown in new territory. I'm not sure if it's the germination rate on the seed. This was supposed to be planted at like 2-inch interval or something like that. Definitely hasn't come through at 100% or anything close. And you can see a little bit of a difference in the, I guess, the dryness of the ground, where it's pretty bare over here and it's a lot thicker over there, and that's the same all the way down. This edge is definitely not so obvious with the barley, but up this corner it's definitely a bit thinner. Well, that's where we're at. Happy solstice to you all. See the moon up there behind, that's a beautiful thing to see on a midsummer's night, isn't it?